Hello, Internet. My name is Graham Clark, Wilderness Man, and you're watching Wilderness Man Live. Coming to you live from a forest in Vancouver, BC. Thank you very much for joining us. I didn't prepare much, but this is a comedy coup. One of the things we had to do in order to stay in the competition. So, here we are. What's the deal with crows, right? Have you ever had a friend tell you not to mess around with crows, right? Because they tell you that crows can remember faces, right? Have you heard that? Yeah. It's very weird that that would be a thing. Because who cares? What is the crow gonna do? If I mess around with a crow and it remembers my face, I can get on a bus and it can't. And where did a crow develop the ability to memorize faces? Because all crows would just be hanging out with other crows, and all crows look the same. I'm not afraid to say that. A lot of people would be afraid to say it, but all crows look the same. And I think you could fake it if you were a crow and you ran into a crow that you had met previously but forgot. And then you had to kind of go, no, I remember you. Yeah, from Garbage, right? That's where we met. We met at Garbage. Pretty good opening monologue all in all. We will be taking questions via Twitter. If you want to write in any questions to us, it's at WildernessMan with 3 A's, because WildernessMan with 1 A was taken by a guy who likes to fish. So, and I'm not alone out here in the forest, sitting at a desk. I also have some my favorite city folk who've come all the way out here to join me for Wilderness Man Live. The first of which, a gentleman who I've known for a long time. He's a writer, he's a playwright, he's a comedian, and he's just an all-around good guy, and he's here for you tonight. Please welcome to the forest, Mr. Charlie Demers, everybody.
Thanks very much. Thank you. Thanks very much for
coming on the show.
Oh, well, thank you for having me as part of your legally mandated live event. I'm always thrilled to, help my friends meet, unpleasant obligations. So I'm happy to be out here in the forest helping with that.
Well, thank you so much for coming.
Yeah. How come? So you went straight from Wilderness Man 1A taken.
Yes. 2 A's taken.
Oh, 2 A's was
2 A's
taken. I thought maybe you didn't want like people would pronounce it Wilderness Mon, like non, or whatever the.
I thought you meant like Wilderness Mon, like we're on island time.
Right. That would be M-O-N.
Right. Yeah.
Mon. Yeah. But Wilderness Man was taken by a Scandinavian nature enthusiast.
Yeah.
Something. Okay. A double A.
You can't do on Twitter. You can't just have an umlaut or whatever. I don't know if you could do umlauts. I'm gonna look into that. Josh, can you look into that? Josh is a squirrel. You can't see off camera. He'll be reading me the tweets later. Thank you so much for joining.
Yes.
You're born and raised here in Vancouver.
Yes.
Yeah.
In the city beside this forest.
Yes. And so you live in a very green city.
Yes.
Like lots of parks and stuff. Are you an outdoors guy?
No. No, not at all. That's the great thing about living in Vancouver is you can ski and swim and ride your bike all in one day, and I don't ever any of them even one in one day.
Because you also have the right not to do that here.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
one of the things.
Yeah. You can do all those things in one day, or none of them at all. Is the kind of. But I've lived my life enjoying. I can.
From afar.
Yeah, I can point out the. You can say, well, that's even if it's not your cup of tea, you can say that's a very handsome man.
Yes.
I can.
Absolutely.
And in the same way, though I would never want to fuck a mountain, I can say those are beautiful mountains.
Why not?
They're too majestic. I feel I don't need that kind of pressure. I can't. You can't. Face to face with majesty
Yeah.
in bed. Forget about
it's
it.
hard
Yes.
enough to meet somebody of your own mineral makeup, let alone.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, actually, but I mean, so you can appreciate a nice crevasse.
Oh, absolutely.
Anyway, but when you grow up here, even if you don't go out into the mountains, you come to appreciate them as they're your compass. That's how you know where north is.
Yes.
And that's why anyone from Vancouver who goes to any other city is just, this is the face everywhere.
Yeah.
Because how can anyone tell north anywhere else?
I don't know. I wouldn't want to know.
Yeah.
Something about moss growing on the south side of Ross or something.
Yeah.
I've heard that.
Check out in most urban settings. Check the moss. See what's going on.
Do you know what? I've heard from a friend of mine, in an urban setting, if you're ever lost, satellite dishes face south in the northern hemisphere because the
Wow.
satellites go around the equator.
But theoretically,
There you go. Are you glad you tuned in
Yeah.
now?
That's wild.
Yeah.
But then you'd still need to know which hemisphere.
Oh, that's true.
Starting wise.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. Well,
But if you had a certain base
for that
knowledge.
you read the local paper.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then
Hello, having any trouble finding the satellite dishes?
Where
There you
am
go.
I?
Yeah, exactly. I'm in Whistler.
when you were a younger man, did your dad force you to go out on nature walks or hikes or anything like that?
Christ, no. He hated all of that stuff. This is another thing where, like, my dad is French Canadian, and my sense was always that only WASP men cared about the outdoors. Like, he showed
Like
no
people
interest.
that have scary
Yeah.
wasp
Yeah,
faces.
yeah, WASP men. Exactly. Yeah.
I got you.
Live in
Go on.
live in sort of swirly paper houses.
They really shouldn't throw stones.
Yes, it's not just glass. Anyway, he was not interested. His whole thing was, I don't know. He didn't. I think you want to be, for camping, you want to start from life's
Yeah.
pretty comfortable, and then let's de-comfortable it up and go live in the woods.
Right.
But he,
He kept it at a nice.
Yeah,
This is the level of comfort that we're gonna stay at.
so my indifference to nature began with my father. It's really his greatest gift to me.
Now you yourself are a father. Are you gonna take
Yeah.
your little one? Does she like going out to the park?
I put her out in the woods every
It's
night.
the only
I go,
way. It's
"Yes,
the best way.
Find your way back, sweetie. I don't. We go to the park, but I mean nothing. It's very urban. It's a very. Anyway, it's a very urban situation. I don't know. I haven't taken her out into nature as such yet.
What if she becomes a big outdoorsy type and wants to take you on hikes? I guess that's just.
Oh, take me on a hike?
Yeah.
Kind of a fun
Yeah.
premise for a movie or something, I guess. We kind of go out, fish out of water situation.
Yeah.
We'll learn how much our relationship means to each other. I guess my wife would have to have died for the story to really touch
I don't-
any of
I
us.
don't like where
but
this is going.
I know. But I think a kind of estranged father. Well, why are we estranged
Yeah, no,
in this?
you
but
guys
I'm
live
just
in the same house.
thinking of it from a Hollywood perspective.
Sure,
There would
you're-
have to be some schism that then the wilderness helped
Would
us.
you watch a movie of just Charlie and his daughter hiking around in the wilderness? Yeah, one person at least.
Yeah, okay. Well,
Yeah.
fair enough.
Before you leave, you have to go back to the city.
Back to the city. Yes. Oh, this pollen is. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
Now you told me that you're not the world's biggest fan of cats because you're allergic to cats.
Yeah. So I, at a very young age, discovered that cats might kill me. And the way that we discovered that, we were down in the United States of America, which is not the best place to discover new medical issues that you have. And we were down there. I was like 4 years old. And you know when your kids, and there's a girl your age from the other family, and they go, oh, you guys are going to get married. They used to do that before we all learned that heteronormativity is wrong. But if there was a boy and a girl, you go, oh, and so there we were visiting family friends. There was this little girl, Laura Rose, and she was going to be my wife, and I was going to be her husband. And so anyway,
So much pressure.
I know, it was a lot of pressure. Well, now you know why we're estranged. So we go down, we're downstairs, and the grown-ups are all upstairs, and we're eating pizza and drinking pop, which they call soda.
Oh,
and,
it's so different.
And so we're eating it, and my I begin talking like this, and it's more and more constricted. And Laura Rose is trying to help me. She's like, drink this Pepsi. So then she'd drink the Pepsi, and then I'd be like, oh, but I also like pizza. And then I'd eat the pizza. She was like, no, don't eat the pizza. You need Pepsi. And then so as things were getting tighter and tighter in my throat, Laura Rose went upstairs, and she said to the grown-ups, she said, Charlie needs medicine. And they all went, oh. And then they were like, wait a minute. And they came downstairs and discovered that my throat was basically closing up. And so they whisked me away to a bathtub in another house. And
Unusual.
yes, yeah. Well, I think the idea was just to rinse all the cat situation
yeah.
off me. And you don't have to pay to use a bath in the States, unlike their hospital system. And so I died, unfortunately. No, I don't know why I'm trying to...
The ghost of Charlie Damaris,
Yes,
everybody.
yeah. I probably couldn't really build up any stakes for that story. Everybody was okay, and Laura and I, that we're separated now, still very good terms.
Wonderful. That's the movie I want to watch.
Yeah, well, theater of the
Everybody,
mind.
Charlie Damaris, thank you so
Thank
much
you,
for joining
Graham
me
Clark,
in the woods.
Wilderness Man. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Now, while we're waiting for our next guest to find due north, Josh the Squirrel, do we have any Twitter questions that I might answer?
Yes, Ben Thomas Bessler is wondering, what's the deal with hippo nipples?
Yeah, what is the deal with hippo nipple? Well, I'm glad you asked, because the great thing about hippos is that we know so little about them, right? Most scientists, we're not even sure if they have nipples, if they do not. It's a big debate. If you ever talk to a hippotologist, if you're ever at a party with a hippotologist, you bring up the nipple question, and I guarantee you're in for a fight of your life. So don't, it's a sensitive question, much like nipples themselves. But, if you're asking me what's the deal with them, I say the deal is they're A-okay. Thank you for the question.
All right. At Poo Eater would also like...
That's unfortunate.
would like for you to name his goldfish.
Oh, that is great. The question is it a boy goldfish or a girl goldfish?
Doesn't say.
Okay, so I got to pick like a nice unisex name. I'm going to say Kelly. Kelly the goldfish, because I've known some great Kellys that are both men and women, and now I know a goldfish named Kelly. So Kelly is your answer. Thank you very much for asking. Poo Eater.
Okay, we have one more. Actually, this one's for Charlie, but maybe you want to take it.
Sure.
At Setkelski wants to know, what's your desert island animal? The animal you want to be on a deserted island with?
Whoa. That's a great question. What? And I would want to be on some sort of animal that has like a telephone built into it, or like an animal that swallowed a satellite phone, like a pelican with a MacBook and a sat nav thing in its face is what. That would be. I'm answering for Charlie, but I'm pretty sure he would agree. That's what you want on a desert island. Has our next guest? No, ask me another question then.
Okay.
This is live internet. This is what happens on live internet.
Okay. So, what's your favorite camping memory?
Favorite camping memory? When I was a kid, my father and I, Wilderness Man Sr., we went camping, and we were hiking all day, and our boots got soaked because we were hiking in the rain, and so he said we should put our boots next to the fire while we slept, and that would dry them out. And when we woke up in the morning, our boots had caught fire and melted. So we had to walk back on kind of singed, melted, disgusting, filled with holes boots. Memories that last a lifetime. Our next guest has arrived here in the woods. A very funny comedian, lives in Vancouver, British Columbia, originally from Victoria, British Columbia. Here for you tonight, please welcome to The Forest, Miss Katie Ellen Humphries, everybody. Hello! Thank you for coming.
My pleasure.
Now you grew up in Victoria.
Absolutely.
Now, before we get into the heavy stuff, what's your favorite animal?
Ooh, penguins.
Penguins. Tell me why.
Well, they're always dressed up.
Ah, yes.
Right? The formal attire. I like the waddle,
Yeah.
and I like this. They slide on their bellies.
They are brilliant, right?
Yeah, no
Man.
question about it.
Yeah, because the average person who dresses up in a tuxedo would never slide on their belly.
Like maybe at a wedding or something.
Yeah, or if there was a slip and slide, but in usual circumstances. Now, you used to be a competitive swimmer.
Yeah. Yeah.
And-
Years ago, that was my trade.
That was your trade.
Swimming.
And you were quite good at it, yes?
Compared to non-swimmers, for sure.
Yeah, yes.
Compared to other competitive swimmers.
Compared to a dog you've just thrown in a pool for the first time.
Oh yeah, I could beat a poodle for sure. Especially endurance.
Yeah, right? Oh, dogs, they love it, but they get tired fast. They don't know length, so that's their problem.
Yeah, they don't have the proper breathing.
Ah, touche. And they don't know not to eat before you go swimming.
Dogs don't know not to eat their own feces.
That is one of my favorite things about them. Poo eater from earlier might have been a dog. I didn't realize that. Yeah, it's not bad. Now you have an amazing story of because you didn't just swim in pools. You swam in the great outdoors.
Yeah, so my particular talent when it came to swimming was not speed, like you might like. It was.
I also like flotation.
Yeah, and that. I had one speed that I could go, but I could go that speed for any distance.
Oh wow.
So what you might like, so even the shortest sprint, that would be the time I went out for my first 100 meters of swimming 10 kilometers, would be the same as if I only swam 100 meters.
Oh wow. So you could just go and go and go.
Yeah, but so for 100 meters, bad.
But for a
But if
million meters.
If you go a long enough time, it's like, oh, pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good pace.
And would you ever, you wouldn't tire, or you wouldn't get hungry, or
I'm tired and hungry now. Yeah, I mean, for sure. I've been here like 3 minutes. Those things would happen. But yeah, so I was an open water competitive swimmer, which meaning not in
so
pools.
yeah. So in the open water competitive swimming world, you would swim far from shore, right?
Yeah, well, sometimes they'd be in lakes, so you're just close to the shore a lot.
Right.
Doing
Okay.
laps of
yeah.
the lake, or other times you'd be out, in open water. The longest distance I did was I would do 10K races.
And this was cold water.
Yeah, I've never done an open water race where at least one man wasn't pulled out for hypothermia.
It was always a man, right?
Well.
You can admit it.
We're beefier as gals.
And also when the men are pulled out, they're like, oh, it was cold in the water, it's shrinking, whatever.
That's right. Yeah.
Right? Now, you told me a story once while this is open water swimming, you were practicing.
Yeah, I was out training.
Tell me the story.
Well, it was the dawn of the millennium.
People were getting jiggy with it.
We were in 2001, and I was training. I was in a waterway in Victoria, and it was the Gorge. And when you say that in Victoria, I thought it was this was the only thing I had going for me. Like no one at school, I had nothing because I trained 30 hours a week, so I didn't
Right.
have a lot of social life.
This was your life.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I had gotten a bit of acclaim, and I thought that this was gonna be the year that I was like, yeah, this is gonna be like people are gonna think this is cool. But all that would happen is that people at school would say things like, so my mom said you were in the paper or whatever. And then I would be like, yeah, I swam World Cup 10K race in the Gorge. You swam in the Gorge? That's so gross.
Kids are the worst.
Well, they weren't wrong. There was a dead body pulled out
Oh,
at one time.
no! It was probably a man, I bet. I bet it was a man.
I was like, it's so cold.
I just gave up and died.
Yeah. So that paints a bit of a picture of kind of my on the ground social life at that time. And then I went to do this practice race in the Gorge, and the fast skin bathing suit had just come out. If you watch Olympic swimming at all now, you'll notice that people have like those full length
Right.
bathing suits there. When they first came out, they were called shark skin because the fabric is actually mirrored to mimic the skin of sharks,
Oh,
and
wow.
it makes you really buoyant. And they're beautiful. They're amazing.
Yeah.
You must get one.
I'm looking into it. Just for everyday wear.
Well, it's like swimming in Spanx. So very figure flattering. But so they are scaly and long and black, and I was wearing a bathing cap.
Right.
So underwater, were you to say be a seal, you might think that I was also a seal. What the viewers at home have not noticed because of my giant overcoat here is that I am seal-shaped.
Right down to your flippers.
Not a lot of this. And so
Seals have that, don't they?
no, they have this.
You're right. Yeah, this is two seals standing on top of each other if I do that.
They're on the cheer squad.
Give me an S, yeah.
So I was about 1 kilometer into this train, and this little seal popped up, and he was so close, within arm's length. And on land,
Amazing.
I'm afraid of all animals, but in the water, we're kin, and I'm like, oh, this is great. And I thought that he would get spooked, of course, but no time did that happen. And so, I was trying to get to know the course a little bit, so I'd stop, say every couple of kilometers or something, to kind of check out my coach boat and like look around and see what we're gonna do. And he followed the whole way. And when I stopped, he would stop. I'm assuming it's a gentleman. I don't know. We didn't get that. I was putting off a lot of pheromones. So when I would stop, he would stop and poke up his head and be like, "What? Why? What's going on? Like, what are you? Come
That's
on."
amazing.
And I think that he thinks that we were playing, and so it is the greatest thing that's ever happened to me in my
Yeah.
whole life.
That is an amazing story. Wow, you got to swim with a seal and be like part of the seal swimming team.
I got to be a seal.
Yeah.
Yeah, SEAL Team 2.
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much for coming by and telling that amazing story.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
Katie
Thank
Ellen
you.
Humphreys, everybody. Oh boy, so Josh Squirrel, How are things going on Twitter? Do we have any questions?
Great, lots of questions. Lindsay Chedek wants to know, what's your stance on the mongoose versus snake debacle?
Oof. I mean, you know, again, like with hippo nipples, not pleasant conversation. But you know, I'm not afraid to say it. I'm pro mongoose. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I am pro mongoose. You know, come on, what are we in the Dark Ages? Of course I'm pro mongoose. So there you go. Now you know. Public record.
Great. At Melsbury wants to know, how's Tree doing these days?
Tree is doing great. Just got a new fall look. Nice red and oranges. And I just, you know what? I say keep it. Keep it year round, that look. It looks so good. But Tree's doing excellent and sends you his warmest wishes.
Peter Allen wants to know, have you ever come across a Bigfoot or a Sam Squanch?
I've come across a Sam Squanch. The thing about Bigfoot is, you know, a gentleman never tells. So maybe it did, maybe it didn't. Okay, we are ready for our a final guest of the evening. She is a wonderful comedian based out of Vancouver, British Columbia, and just an all-around lovely lady. Please welcome to the Forest, Miss Alicia Tobin, everybody.
Hello.
Hello. How are you?
Guys,
How are you doing?
are doing.
Thank you for joining me.
Oh, this is lovely. This is a beautiful forest.
Thank you. Yeah.
Oh,
I know.
I can't even.
I won't even. Now, Alicia,
Yes.
you of all of my friends that I've ever met, you love animals the very most.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you.
More than Charlie.
Yes, very much more than Charlie.
More than Katie.
Yeah, and
That's all of
that's
us.
the list.
Yeah. That is it.
It's hard to, but I'll start. I'll ask, what would you say is your favorite animal if you had to pick one?
I usually just kind of go in cycles. Right now.
Okay,
my-
what's the fall for you?
Right now, my favorite animal is the bat.
Okay, any particular kind of bat?
Well, I don't know a lot about bats.
Okay.
But this is kind of sad.
Okay.
So
Well,
I'm
you
very-
know what? It's up and down. Yeah.
I was walking down Robson Street, and I saw a bat, and he had died. But he was so beautiful.
Yeah.
And he was only like this big,
Yeah.
and his face was so sweet, and his ears were so soft, and he's just this perfect little creature. And he had died without any sort of noticeable injury, which would have made his death gross.
Yeah. That's true.
So I spent a bunch of time keeping a pigeon away from eating him.
Okay.
And during
That's
that-
very respectful.
Yeah, I was like, don't eat this guy. Pigeons will eat anything, right?
Yeah.
So why this beautiful bat?
Not to cast aspersions on pigeons,
Yeah.
but
They're
call
just
spade
doing
a spade,
their
right?
thing. Pigeons are beautiful too.
Yeah.
They have beautiful feathers, and I think they get a bad rap.
Did you know that there are wood pigeons that live out in the woods?
Yeah, you've told me already.
Yeah. I was blown away when I found that out.
And still are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I just thought of them as a real garbage eating
Don't
bird.
say that about pigeons.
No, they do eat garbage.
They
I've seen
do,
it.
but if they had their druthers, they would probably eat fancier garbage or
Yeah. I would eat at a restaurant called Pigeon Druthers.
something. Yeah, pigeons are amazing. They've completely adapted to living around humans, and they've evolved because of it.
Yeah.
And it is kind of tragic that they eat garbage and, let's say, a baby bat that you found outside the library.
Yeah.
But yeah, since I saw that bat, I've been really taken with them, and they seem like wolves, like baby wolves with wings or something.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah,
just
yeah.
amazing, and I think that they're going extinct because of cell phones and pollution and stuff. And to see one in our city, like we live in an amazing city. You don't. You live in.
I live out in the woods.
Yeah, that's right.
I sleep in the mud.
Yeah, you do. You really smell. Yeah, we live in this amazing city where we have eagles and coyotes and bats. Every day you can see something amazing, somebody amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even a pigeon is amazing in his own way.
Yeah. No, you're right. All animals are beautiful.
Yeah, so
What's
I like
the ugliest animal? I think it's the turkey. They're crazy ugly.
They are crazy looking. There's like a vulture that's all bald. That
Oh,
eats-
yeah.
He's scary. Remember that bear that had alopecia that we
I
saw?
like that guy. I thought that guy was great.
He
He
looked
looked
very.
like Christian Bale.
He did look a bit like, yeah, when he was like
Yeah.
getting ready for one of his.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did look like Christian Bale, who is good looking most of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought he was pretty unattractive as far as bears go, but as far as Christian Bale goes,
Yeah.
yeah,
Top drawer.
Top drawer. Yeah.
So tell me, you've got great animal stories. You've had lots of interactions with animals. What's your favorite all-time animal story?
Oh boy. It would have to be the time that my dog ate a pair of frozen underpants that he found on Mount Royal that were loaded with baby shit.
Ah, so full of nutrients.
Yeah, and he wouldn't stop eating them, and I couldn't get close enough to him to get him to drop the underpants, and they're like little kid underpants with snowflakes on them. Like I could get close enough to the dog to see that he was eating underpants with snowflakes on them. And just then, this beautiful girl that I knew from Montreal came walking up Mount Royal, and she's just like one of those girls you don't want to bump into ever because no matter what, you've got like a plate of spaghetti on your body somehow, and you don't know how it got there.
Yeah.
And her legs are like this long, and
Like a giraffe.
yeah, like a giraffe. And and so she comes up, she's like, Alicia, and I'm like, hey, Heather, and I have a huge stick in my hand, and I'm screaming at my dog. I'm like, get this, drop this shitty. Hey, Heather. So eventually the dog, Heather's like, see you around, I'm going to Pilates, or whatever she did. And the next morning, my dog threw up the underwear onto a rug that I had just bought that I really loved, and I picked him up by his snoot and his tail, and I threw him into a snowbank and closed the door so I could cool down.
Ah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a great story.
Yeah, it
Yeah, it all worked out.
In the end, sort of.
Any final words? If you could say anything to the animal kingdom, what would you say?
Don't give up.
Yeah, don't give up.
Yeah.
Alicia Tobin, everybody. Thank you for joining me.
Thanks so much. Bye.
Well, what do you say? Should we call this call it an evening? Thank you all so much for coming out to the forest for the first and maybe only Wilderness Man Live. It was a real treat to be here with you. Thank you so much for sending in the questions. Thank you so much to all the people who have voted for us in the comedy coup. We hope it becomes a real deal thing. And everybody, be nice to one another. Take care. Have a good night.